She was a barn burner yesterday, that's for sure. My pride dropped it was about that big yesterday after I dropped the engine on Jolene's car. And that's just one thing about building a car, you know, and in life. If you cannot fall, you cannot rise, if you know what I'm saying. As I dropped that engine there, I fell in my own thought. I rose up again, and me and Doug and Steve put that engine in there, and I'm very happy about it. I'm not happy that I dropped the engine, no, but what I'm saying is that everybody can make mistakes, and you can still come back and do what you want done in the first place, and that's what we did. I have to acknowledge Doug, because Doug called me the night before, and he said, I don't like that engine picker you got there, he said. I don't like it, I don't trust it, I don't trust it, he said. So anyways, I said, oh, no, don't worry about it, we'll get it, no problem, I'll deal with that jack part, I'll deal with it. Well, I dealt with it all right, and you've seen it. But anyways, Doug called me and said that. Also, Doug, when we started putting the engine in the top, Doug knew it wasn't going to fit. And I sort of did too, but I wanted to try to see if it would go down in the engine bay, you know. And as I did, it was a mistake. And as you listen to Doug and Steve as we were carrying on, there wasn't one piece of advice that Doug gave me that was wrong. No, let's put it underneath. Oh, let's not use that. Yeah, it's good. That's where knowledge comes from, is experience. And, you know, I've got a bit of experience, but his experience prevailed when it comes to that, because it proved it yesterday when I dropped the engine. And that's what I'm going with. I learned something. I think I will change my method of trying to drop an engine in. I think what I'll do is, because it's too easy to mess up, I think what I'll do is use them to take the engine out maybe. But when you're putting it in or something like that, maybe we'll try to find a better way. I can't use the hoist right now. It's snowing inside, it's cold, and I don't want to go outside. But as we got the engine in there, right now, I'm using the level to find out if the hood will fit. And the hood will fit. If you want to come over, or you can come over this side, baby. You know, we just got it up on skates right now, and the level is, you know, it's off an eighth of being level right there, plumb. The engine is down a little bit in the back. We're trying to say like at 3 degrees, and the reason is because the engine oil runs back to the, you know, to the oil pan. The engine runs back and goes down. But as we have the engine in here now, what I have to do is I have to walk around the car, sight the engine up, sight it up, and see if I like it at center. Sight it up from the center, from the front, see if I like that in center. I've got that pretty well now. But now that I have the engine sitting there, now it's time to, you know, make a motor mount so the engine can stay there or be taken out. And as Doug said again, when you go to take the engine out, you know, make a cradle for it. And I wasn't thinking cradle before, because I can't get in there to make the cradle, you know what I mean? I'd like to have a cradle in there that you could take in and out, sure. I'd like that, but I can't get in there and do that underneath the car. I'm not getting underneath the engine, not a chance. But what is going to happen today, if you want to come around this side, you want to go around, right around this side, baby. Come on, stay with me. Right here, right there on the side of the engine, you'll probably come around that. Yeah. Right there on the side of the engine. All right, this is the motor mount for the other side. If this is the motor mount for the other side, have another engine in there. But this piece here is the motor mount on the engine, so that's on the engine. You can see it down there, it's on an angle. That bolts the side of the engine. This is the mount that was on the frame on the original Jaguars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a probably cardboard pattern. I'll take a bunch of cardboard and cut something up and slide it in there and make my mount, so that I can mount down on top of that. And that's what I'll do, is I'll take something, a piece of cardboard, I'll make it, I'll set it in there, match it up to that, and then we'll go from there. I'll have to do the same on the other side. And while I do it, the jack will be holding the engine. I'll have to throw maybe a jack underneath the front of the car and get the car jacked up so I can take the wheels off, so I can get in at that. So when you come in here and take a look here, you come in and take a look at the wheel, this is how I'm going to do it. When the wheel comes off, I can see that motor mount in there. You can see that motor mount in there, can you? Well, I'll take that wheel off and I'll go in there and make that. Now, as I see, I'm going to go in there and make that motor mount. That's fine, I'm going to do that. The inner fenders, as you come take a look, You can see the power steering pump. There's the power steering pump right there. And the cover is right beside, I'll hold this over. I don't want to move the motor actually. The power steering pump is right here. I can still get the cover off if I take the hood off. I can get the cover off. So I'm happy about that. The alternator was taken off, and that's going back on this side. And that should fit no problem. But as I look at that, I cannot put the inner fender on anymore on here, on the face of this square tubing, and go down to the other face. Cannot do that. Power steering pump is hitting it. So, as I'm thinking, and I've been thinking about it, believe me, as the inner fender was bolted or screwed on to the square tubing on this side and screwed on the bottom, can't do that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little trick. I'm going to take 3/4 inch off the top. I'm not going to cut it off. I'm going to bend it, and I'm going to set this panel on the other side. So if you can picture it, the square tubing on the bottom, the square tubing on the bottom will be holding the inner fender on this side. This will have a 90 coming in this way, and it'll be underneath. We'll bend the 90 this way, and it'll bring this inner fender out 3/4 of an inch. If you get what I'm saying. I'm bending the top out 3/4 of an inch. Instead of laying on this, my square tubing would be here. I'm not going to do that no more. Square tubing there, not going to do that no more. I'm going to bend it over this way. Square tubing is going to be on top. So we're going to have 3/4 of an inch because we bent it there and bring it out this way. And this side here, the square tubing will be on this side. So we're just going to bring the inner fenders on the outside. I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's basically what's going on. I am not building this car per se like you would build a start car, like to start something and to build something. No, I built this car for Jolene. I did not do it the conventional way. I just built the body, had it on a chassis, and we threw it outdoors. Right now is the time I'm really going to build the car because I'm putting an engine in it, putting a transmission in it, putting a rear end in it, going to make it move. Well, as I do that, I don't want to take the body off and on, off and on, and off and on. Haven't got that gear. Same with the fender skirts. I'm not taking them off and on, and off and on, and off and on, and off and on. No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to place we've got the engine placed in there. I'm going to make the mounts just the way it is. I'm going to make all the body mounts just the way it is. I'm going to connect the rack just the way it is. The steering is going to be connected just the way it is. So when I rip this body off, the mounts will be there, the steering will be there, the engine transmission will be there. Everything that we need to know with the body on will be done. If I do not do that, and you take that body off and on, and off and on, and off and on, and off and on, you know what will happen. It'll take forever. It'll take forever to do that. So as I'm doing that, building it this way, I know it's not the conventional way, but I am building it the fastest way. I really am. For me to have primer on the outside of it and mauling all over it, that does not hurt it at all. We are building on the fly. We are doing it as fast as possible. So now if I can come in and get that engine mounted, get the transmission on, get that mounted, that's a big thing. With everything in place, without the body on, I really can't tell where I need everything, if you know what I'm trying to tell you. It's really nice. I find it nice to build something when you know where you've got to go. I know where the motor mount's going to fit because it's right there. There's no guessing. If I had the body off, I would not really know, would I? I'd move back and forth. Oh, don't fit. No, not doing that. We'll do it once and do it once only. Even if we have to drop the engine on the, you know what I'm saying? We've got the car primed. It's not looking bad. I want to just show you quickly, like there's pinholes like this. Like that. And as we walk over this car, I'll just show you, like there's a pinhole. That's a pinhole, obviously. You could put a cigarette in that. Pinholes. There's a few pinholes there. We've got a couple pinholes there. And this is the reason I want to prime the car and do the pinhole, or do the pinholes after. I didn't want to putty the whole thing to get all the pinholes. No, I don't want to do that because I can come in here with a little bit of material and go boop, instead of sanding the whole car. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you. I've just body filled it, primed it, did a good job on my fill work so I don't have to go back in. I find a lot of people will use that putty to try to straighten out their mud work. I get the mud work straight, and then I use the putty for what it's for, pinholes and scratches. I put the primer on. We got one nice hard shell. If you look at it, there's not a bunch of pinholes everywhere. It's just a couple places. So for me to mud or putty the whole car, you can if you want, but I'm not. But as we get going here, also, when the engine, this is another proven fact, when the engine dropped on that, I dropped her, I did, you watched it, I did not break anything. It did not break the weld, it did not bend the metal, it did not anything, and I'll tell you why. Because I welded it and I left the weld on the car. I did not grind it off to please somebody's eye in bare metal. I did not do that. I've seen other things not having an engine dropped on it. I've seen things dropped on the floor and cause more damage than I did with that engine on top of that. Because of trying to make it something it's not by grinding all the weld off of it, and it would break. We don't do that here. We leave the weld on. I'm very impressed with that piece of metal there that dropped on, and that's the way it is. Also, when me and Steve picked up the front of the car, this is not a load-bearing piece of rod going across the front. It's whatever. But it did not affect anything when we picked the car. The car is built really, really, really strong. I'm quite enjoying it. This morning I had to come out and I had to jack up the rear end and try to get the body over a little bit to make sure it's square on the chassis. As the body sits on the chassis, this is another thing that I'm going to do. I'll get a piece of metal here and I'll show you. What I'll do here, I don't know if this is the piece of metal or not, or another one, is I will come in here and I will 45 a piece, and then I will cut it off, we'll say 2 inches long. I will drill a hole in that. I will take and put that on the side of the little piece like this. I'll put that on the side of the chassis. I will run my mounts for my car all the way along. I have got no mounts in this car whatsoever. I just made a floor for it. I set it on the chassis and that's it. But as I make mounts, I'll just cut these, make mounts, drill holes, and I go underneath the car, wherever the chassis fits nice, I'll put the mount where it's supposed to be and I'll go tack, tack, done. I will not do anything else than that. And I'll get them in place. All the holes will be drilled. So when I pull the body off, all the mounts will have to be finished being welded. The motor mounts might have to be finished being welded. The transmission mount's going to have to be finished being welded. The rivets are going to go in the chassis after that. The rack and pinion mounts are going to have to be finished. Everything's going to have to be finished, but when I take the body off, everything will be in place and fitting. And the reason being is I've put it together this way. I put it together to fit. It's exactly the same thing as a 40. When we nailed the hood down on the 40, it's got to fit. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. We did not know if the Jaguar engine was going to fit, like down through, like most vehicles do. I wanted to see if it would. I knew that stuff would have to be pulled off if it did fit. But as we tried it, we found out that, let's go from underneath, and that's what worked the best. That's what works the best. I want to thank Steve and Doug, too, for the help. I mean, they get high marks from me because they come down and help me put the engine in the car. And they were very good about it. They didn't get me running either way. I think we started working really good together, As we got going, we worked really good together. I really feel that. We got the job done. There was no mass confusion. Nobody got worked up when the engine fell. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Had a great day yesterday. So everything that you see, we will keep together and we will make it fit while it's together. And then when we pull it off, we'll do it all at once. We'll have everything in place. We'll have the steering in place. We'll have the engine in place. We'll have the transmission in place. We'll have all the mounts in place. Because I haven't got that. I haven't got any of that in place. The rear end will be in place. The front end will be sort of in place. And then we can work from there. Once we tear the body off, then we know what we got to do, where everything fits. There's no mistaking anything. Because we built it together, and it will go back together. If we build it in pieces, we really don't know, do we? We really don't know. We really don't know. I know when I cut the fender skirts off, they are going to fit. I do know that. But right today, as we get going, Jolene's going to do some numbers. We get some numbers. She got some numbers to do. She's the accountant. She's the producer. She's my lovely. She cooked us a great meal yesterday for me, Doug, and Steve. She cooked a great meal. We come back up and we even did a little engine work. Doug found out all the compression on the 430 or the 383, whatever it is, but we did a little compression test on that, and we got that thing figured out. So it was a better day than good yesterday. I like when I tell Doug jokes. He just looks at me and closes his eyes and puts his head down. It says it all. Have a good day, everybody. I'm just going to make some motor mounts. I'm so happy today that it worked out. I did not hurt anything. But make sure that you know, as I failed yesterday, I'm back in here again today. And I can remember when Gene Winfield said to my son, no matter if you do not get it the first time, do not stop, keep cruising. And that's what we did. We manhandled it, we got it done. And we did what we had to do, as you could tell. Not everything was to textbook. That's not me anyways. I didn't make it through school. The only book I ever read was Cat in the Hat. So I'm very happy with what's going on. And I want to thank everybody for watching the YouTube. YouTube is our friend. And everybody on YouTube that's watching, I consider friends, because they are, they're giving some good comments. And keep it coming. Like and share. We will do more videos live like that we can, but it's really hard for me to make a cardboard pattern for a mount and just watch me go over the bench and cut a piece and tack it on. It's hard for that. Plus Jolene has things to do. But yesterday I felt was, as we did put the engine in and I got to watch it, man, that was a good TV show. That was good. What a baby. Good film work. Everything was real. The people were good, the engine looks good, the car looks good, my baby looks good. Have a good day, everybody. I just got to make some mounts and get her tied in there. And I want to thank Steve and Doug for helping me. I appreciate it so much.